So my name is Kayla. I got my undergraduate education in mechanical engineering and biomedical engineering from Penn State. I just graduated in last spring, and I'm working for an HVAC company now as an application engineer. So basically, I am working with air handling units and helping our sales team to configure them or answer any questions that they would have, and basically design those units to meet whatever requirements they have for their buildings. So basically, it's a good idea to have an understanding of fluids or heat transfer, because that helps a lot with understanding the airflow through the units. And we use a lot, basically our units come in with a basic setup, and then we them whether it's in our software or as like an application engineer, changing anything that we would need to meet their design requirements. There's a lot of stuff too that our software doesn't do initially, and that requires like design help there to figure out um, how we could meet that, whether it be like a different kind of heat pipe or, um, you know, a different type of coil or something to meet whatever they would need. And a lot of it too is understanding what that spec is looking for and being able to communicate that to the sales team, because they're not engineers, so they may not know what the contractor or engineer is looking for. Well, I started, I think a lot during undergraduate, and when I started, I was leaning more towards the biomedical or medical device industry. But when I started and when I got my job, I think it's good to have a lot of different experience, and mechanical kind of opens the door for a lot of different areas to explore. So I didn't initially think when I graduated that I would be in the HVAC industry, but I really like it, and I think it incorporates a lot of different things that I used in school, and I think it's a good starting place for me. I didn't have any internships, but I do think that the research was particularly helpful, because not only did it expose me to that type of environment and build communication skills with people at a lot of different levels, which I think is definitely important when you're starting out. But mainly, like the research environment just opened the door to a lot of things I hadn't explored, and got me working with a lot of software and people and just that type of environment. I do think that an internship would have been helpful, but I mean, I think that the experience I had in undergraduate did prepare me for a career, I think. Yeah, I mean, starting out, it's obviously depending on what you're doing, a big range, but I would think at the minimum, you're probably starting around 50, 55. I mean, I know personally I have started more than that, but I also think there's a lot of room for growth uh, quickly too. I don't think it's uh, you have to wait a while for a payoff. I am thinking about grad school. I definitely want to get my master's. I'm hoping my work has a program where they will support some money for that. So I'm thinking that I will start looking into that soon. 'Cause I definitely want to get at least a master's. I just think that the for that's the easiest way to get advancement too, is further education. And I also just um, I always like school and furthering my education and learning, and I know that I would enjoy that a program like that. So I just kind of have to start looking into it. Yeah, when I started out, I mean, I've always been math and science geared. So when I started out, engineering kind of seemed like a natural path for me. And I know with biomedical, there are a lot of more women in biomedical engineering. And as I started looking at the programs that Penn State could offer, I thought that the dual major with mechanical would just open a lot more doors for me and definitely give a broader education. So if I didn't figure out before I graduated exactly where I wanted to go, I had a lot of different areas I could pursue. Um, and I just thought that was um, a good option for me. At my work, in my specific group, there's like 15 people, and I am the only girl. Um, but within the office that I work at, there's girls in other divisions, and so on. I just think that it's important if you're worried about that. Obviously, you shouldn't go into an environment that you're not comfortable with, but I also think that it's important um, for women to pursue those opportunities because if no one pursues it, then there's not going to be more women engineers. And I just think that it's not really as big of a hurdle once you start working. I mean, it's a little daunting at first, but then you get used to it, and it just encourages more people to join, and I think that's important. I would say that it's definitely important if you're interested in math and science to look into a STEM career. I mean, specifically engineering, I think that there's a lot it has to offer, and I wouldn't be intimidated by the fact that there are more men than there are women. I mean, once you get into especially mechanical, um, you, first off, you get used to it, but also there are a lot of societies for women, and there's a lot involved, so you don't feel like you're the only one. And I think that it's important if you're interested in that to not discount yourself.